Hello. So welcome to this new series of tutorials. So first of all, I think I wish there are like some of you that is new to my tutorials. So I really like people join me live because like you can ask questions in the chat, and I really appreciate that. And I really oops, it may be a bit loud, so let me put this down a little bit. Okay. So yeah, I really like love taking questions. So if you could type in the chat, I would really appreciate that. And also, usually I would, if I have the slides, I would give you the link of the slides so you can actually download it. And because I'll put all my references link in the slides there, so it's more convenient for you to follow if you have the slides, and you can click on it and to go to the reference pages. So welcome to the Legend of Data. So yeah, I keep pronouncing it data because it's from the design you can see that is actually inspired by a very famous video game. So the name and the design of the logo. So yeah, so basically I'm thinking that we actually having something very similar in data science world, that we have a triforce of the tools that we use. So we have the pandas and a scikit-learn and a matplotlib there. So it's the data science triforce, and this tutorial, of course, is a data science tutorial, and is every Monday at 5 p.m. UK time. So I would also explain a little bit of what topic we're gonna cover in this series. So today we're gonna be a little bit light because it's gonna be the first one. I also want to check if people get the environment ready and stuff like that. So I would basically today's tutorial will be the Jupyter Notebook. So it's the IDE of choice for data scientists. So for those who don't know me yet, wow, it's super bright. Okay, so I'm Chuck. So why am I doing this? Because I was an ex-data scientist. I used to work in different companies as a data scientist, and actually I have love for open source projects. So while I was doing data science, I actually fell in love with a lot of the development of the tool. So I kind of take a change in my career. So now I work as a developer advocate for Terminus DB. So Terminus DB is also an open source project. So working for an open source project is like my dream. So we are actually, I can't get away from data because we are a graph database. Our product is a graph database that can do Git operations that lets you collaborate. So that's a little plug for my employer. And also involved in other open source projects as well. I've contributed to different projects, including those that we gotta talk about in this series. So a lot of the project that I contribute to were actually like they are actually data science tools. So that's why I was very interested in them, and I contribute to them. So my contribution including pandas, scikit-learn, and bouquet recently. So they are like tiny contributions, but also give me a good chance to understand the tool more. So which is very good. So I always recommend people to try to contribute to open source, to go to some sprints, which is usually a part of the program of a conference. So so if you know me, I go to a lot of conference, and because of my love for the open source projects, I also organize a lot of them myself because I can't get enough. So I have the Python sprints, which is like a regular meetup. We kind of slow down a bit now because of the situation of the lockdown, but we used to meet kind of semi regularly to contribute to different open source projects. And I also help organizing other conferences in like most of them are in Python, some of them are not, but I also love the Python community. So so in this series, it's well, mainly about data science, but most of the tool that I gotta use is gonna be in Python. And let me know if you're interested in other tools like R, because like I do know people because one of the meetup that I organized, AI Club for Gender Minorities, we had our very lovely member gave a series of R tutorial before. So if you're interested in that, let me know so I can see if I can arrange some of those tutorials for you. So you can also learn other like things that is not Python. I can also cover that if you're interested. So let me know. Um, So first of all, so like I said today, it's gonna be a much lighter tutorial. So instead of diving deep down into okay how all this like linear regression work, I would just make sure everybody get the environment set up correctly. So I assume that you're a newcomer, so you may not have your Python installed. So I would recommend you to download Anaconda if you have done nothing yet. If you are new to Python, if you don't have anything like if you haven't installed Python in your machine, you may have Python come with your machine somehow, but you may not know how to use it, if you have never done any Python, so you may ignore its existence. So in that case, if you really want to do your own, Python development, especially for data science, if you are not doing it for data science like me, I will use another way to do it because Anaconda is like its own environment. So what is Anaconda? So okay, I go back to introduction again. So um, so Anaconda is actually a special distribution of Python that is widely used in a lot of companies. Reason being, Python, even though it's a very a lovely open source tool, but it also because being open source, there's also kind of give you the freedom, and the freedom also come with security risk. So so in Python, if there is a thing called PyPI, which is a registry of Python, so anybody could upload a Python library there. I can do it. I have done it before. So most people there are lovely. They provide a useful tool for people to use that. Is most of it are safe, like because if being a responsible developer, they should make sure that there isn't any known vulnerability in the tool that they develop. But sometimes people they could be there's a chance that someone nasty could upload a malware, a spyware or something on PyPI and name it very similar to any popular tool. So people may accidentally install it, and that's a risk. Even though the team to maintaining the PyPI could take it down very quickly, but still there, if they are trying to mimic a very popular library that may already have like thousands of users already get into the trap. So that's the big risk. So Anaconda, I kind of because Python is open source, Anaconda take Python and also others very useful Python libraries, especially in data science. So put it in a bundle that a company could use it. So all of the the libraries there in Anaconda actually is whitelisted by them. So they basically it's like they put a seal on it saying like, okay, if you are if you're a company, if you are our client, then I assure you that this Anaconda package that I gave you is safe, and we'll keep it safe. We have our own Conda. You can use their package manager to install stuff not on not directly to PyPI but to their their library that is whitelisted. So so that's Anaconda. So Anaconda is very popular, like I said, among companies, but also they have a distribution for individual users. So I have a link here that is a free download, so it's an individual edition. So Anaconda, their model, their pricing model is mainly for enterprise, if enterprise want to use, and in the company, and get the professional support and all this stuff, then they would get charged. But if you are like me, just an individual person who is using Python or doing data science stuff, then you could download it for free. So you could just go to this page, click download here, you find your OS and download it. So especially for Windows people, this is super useful because they come with everything that you need to use Python. So you don't have to worry too much about the path and all the stuff. They also include let's see if they showed it here. They also include a bunch of libraries that that come with it. So they have a list? So it's not for the enterprise, so we're not installing that. So yeah, we are installing the individual version. So yeah, they also come with all these. So they come with all these tools that is very useful for data scientists. So if you basically if you're just using Python for data science, this is basically the easiest way to do it is just to download Anaconda and don't have to worry about this stuff. So or even doing scientific research, there's a lot of libraries that's actually good for scientific research, like NumPy, or these. Or if you're doing deep learning, PyTorch, some of these, we would cover them in the future. That if people are interested, for example, yeah, interested deep learning would be these ones, and numerical calculations, NumPy and Number, they're super fast. Scikit-learn for machine learning. So Spider is an IDE that I never well, I used a little bit before, but I don't like it, so I won't recommend that. Jupyter is the one that we're going to talk about today. Jupyter provide very nice IDE for data scientists. It's still it's loved by a lot of data scientists. Dask is used to deal with a lot of data that if it doesn't fit in your memories with pandas, and so you gotta use Dask. Um, Bokeh and Matplotlib is the visualization libraries, and SciPy is used for scientific calculations. Okay, so yeah, download Anaconda, or if you are like me, I also use Python for other things. I don't want to use Conda because I use my own virtual environment. So Conda is also a virtual environment, and they, I'm using PyEnv for my virtual environment, and Conda. Actually, like Conda and PyEnv doesn't like each other. They assume that you have one or the other. So the path that you're referring to get a little bit tricky if you have both of them. So I decided to use PyEnv, so I avoid using Conda. So the way to do it is that I would just install Python with the setting that I like. So I have done a tutorial with that before in my other series, the Python beginner series. So you can go and watch that and download Python yourself. And but you would have to install Jupyter, and oops, there's a typo here. You have to install, you need to install Jupyter and other libraries through pip. So what I think I'm gonna do in the future for the series, I will have, maybe I'll have some examples uh, notebook. So because I will use Jupyter Notebook in this series compared to my other series, I used Atom as my IDE. I would stick with Jupyter Notebook because I assume that if you're watching this, you are interested in data science stuff, and you would work with data scientists, or you want to be a data scientist yourself. So I would try to use Jupyter Notebook. And so I would include maybe a requirement dot file, like a requirement dot text file, with my other like demo Jupyter Notebook. I'll upload them to my Git repo. I haven't done it yet because I don't have any yet, but in the future I will keep that in the requirements. So you could just install those libraries yourself with that requirements.txt in my repo. So that's about it. And this is the first episode, so I would kind of give you a little bit of a preview of what I gotta cover. If you have any suggestions, please let me know in the chat now, or in the future if you I want to learn this, then put it in the box in my Twitch channel below, or even like tag me on Twitter, or like let's say, this is so cool, I want to learn how to use it, or I have used it a little bit, I want to explore more, so shall we do it? So yeah, let's do it together. Um, so let me know if you want to learn any of those stuff. So but in my planning, I want to do is I want to do this. First of all, data manipulation is the first step of any data science project. That you have to get the data, load in. Usually from a CSV, you can do it with pandas, but if you are from a database, there's other way to do it. I don't know if I could show you how to load data from a SQL database. I may have to do a setup because actually I've done it in my past in my work. So I think it's quite useful if you know how to you know use, for example, SQL Alchemy to run this SQL script, and grab your data from the database that is a SQL based relational database, You just need a driver and all this stuff. I may be able to set it up and show you a little bit. That's more like technically challenging, but I hope I could do that. Pandas, if you're loading a CSV or an Excel file, that's much easier. You can just use pandas to do it. So actually next week we're gonna cover the pandas basic. So we would touch a little bit on this, and also cleaning the data. Putting the data into the right, right type, data type. That's very important as well. If you don't clean it up when you like go further and you go to like let's say the statistical models or machine learning, it will give you trouble. So we better have a good foundation. So I think that I would cover like how to use pandas and also some tricks and something that you have to be aware of because I've made million mistakes in the past. So I don't want you to make the same mistakes and get really frustrated. And so that's the data manipulation that we're gonna cover. If you have think of other things you want to know, let me know. Hi, Faris? Yes, hello. TDD on Python. Yes, TDD would be very very good. I think I could actually cover that in my Sunday tutorial. So Sunday I gotta run starting from the coming Sunday because it's a testing month that I call it testing month. So we could actually talk about TDD and test. And I gotta cover some more PyTest thing next week. So maybe I can slide in a little bit of TDD idea in it as well, which is great. So very good recommendation. Thank you so much. And also, after the data manipulation, maybe I could talk about data visualization. Being able to visualize your data and have an insight on your data is important. Sometimes even before you put your stuff in machine learning algorithms, or even you can have an idea how you tackle the problem. So it really depends on the insight from the data. So having it visualized is very very important. So the very very basic, one of the triforce of data science is matplotlib. So matplotlib is if you have used MATLAB before, you may know it because it's a MATLAB tool that now we have these a Python version of it that lets you do all this basic stuff. Basic plotting a graph, like you have full control of your canvas in Python scripts, which is great when you visualize the data. It's a bit complicated to use. I have a lot of friends that they are data scientists and they hate matplotlib because it's a very compared to other tools, it's slightly more low level. So you have to kind of do a lot of work to make your perfect graph to appear like it is. Um, but but it's the basic, so you can't avoid it. So better learn some good, learn a little bit of it before we moved on. So the next thing we got to talk about would be Seaborn. Seaborn is something sit on top of Matplotlib that make your life easier when you have especially if you have categorical data. That's really helpful. I could carry out some statistical analysis before you plot the graph. Bokeh is an interactive graph. It's very neat. It's actually it is perfect with Jupyter Notebook because you could just zoom in and out in there, and because it's interactive, so it's super useful. And so after that, we have the foundations that we need. We could actually go into the data science. I am still thinking like how much, because like data science is such a broad topic. Then at that point we would cover things that's not just technical. We could also cover things that is mathematical as well. For example, we would talk about statistical models used in data science, so that need a little bit of math explanation. So I would try to see because the thing about data science is that people become a data scientist with different backgrounds. So people could be, a math graduate or a science graduate. They would be strong on math, but they may not be, very comfortable in programming as people coming from a technical background. But for those from, if you're already a programmer, but the math bit could be a little bit, a little bit like not your strongest suit because you have been coding for like working in coding for years. Well, you're still good at math because coding is kind of like you have to also be good at math, but still, the math is a big thing, right? So it's different type of things. I still find some of the statistical thing a bit bizarre myself. So yeah, because I actually I came from a physics background, so linear algebra is like something that I really like and it's my strongest suit, but statistic not so much. So I was like not having a very good time, because whenever I deal with the statistical model in data science, I'll be like, whoa. But machine learning, I love it, because machine learning use a lot of linear algebra. When you do the regression, when you do all these calculation, when you're dealing with, for example, support vector machine of these like high dimensional vectorized things, I really love those. So yeah, a lot of math involved in that as well. So the library that we use is scikit-learn. So the funny thing about scikit-learn is that for each algorithm, if you look at the documentation of scikit-learn, it comes with some citation of some paper. So scikit-learn itself, if you want to fully understand what it's doing, you have to also read a lot of paper, not just looking at the code. So yeah, that, like, when we come to this part, the data science part, it will be like endless stuff that we could talk about. So please, if you have something that you really want to learn, I would try to cover the topic that's easier first, like linear regression, logistic regression, all these like easier stuff. Don't just like come to me and say like, come on, let's tell me about reinforcement learning, or like, or come on, let's talk about chatbot. I was like, that's not very beginner friendly. We would just do something, do the basic first, so people get an idea of like how the simplest like machine learning work first, and then we could go into more specific topic. But yeah, keep recommending things. I would just like maybe put it in a different stage, like when we're gonna cover that. um so yeah, testing for data science, before, we have viewers that is very interested in testing. I think for data science, we would we try to put a focus on the parameterized tests. So that would be something like, for example, using parameterize in PyTest, or even using hypothesis. Hypothesis is very good actually for data science, because you're testing with like assuming the input could be any numbers, for example. Then using hypothesis is actually good for this task. So we try to cover that in a other perspective. Um, Data pipeline as well. So this like is slightly touching the data and engineering bit, but because this series, I'm not limited to just data science stuff. So we try to also cover a little bit of data pipeline, even though is well, I haven't worked as a data engineer before, but because I work with them, so I kind of know a little bit of how these things work, and try to also cover that a little bit. Profiling also very important. If you have a lots of data, how to make your work efficient, and how to or even sometimes how to fit all my stuff in the memory, then you have to care about profiling. You have to have an idea of like why my computer crashes if I put in all these data in, because you run out of memory, or why it take hours when I put in this data set in my algorithm. Well, because it's slow, and you should maybe think about a way to improve that. So before you improve that, you have to do profiling first to get an idea that why it is so slow, or why it's using so many memories. So we would cover profiling. Also, maybe come together with profiling would be optimization. How to make your code faster to deal with lots of data. How to save memory. So by the way, Naomi gave a tutorial last Friday about optimization in Python. So I think even though like she kind of give the tutorial as a general sense of how Python listers should improve Python, not specifically for data scientists, but it's I think it's a topic that data scientists should care more, um, because you know you got really good you got really good idea, good math, and it's your algorithm is like works magic, but in real life, if you want it to work fast enough, then you have to worry about whether it's practically fast enough to, let's say, process that amount of data every day. So yeah, for data scientists, especially when you are developing your algorithm, you want it you want things to be fast as well, so you can um, have the development cycle faster. So yeah, profiling is very important actually, and also optimization for data scientists. neural network. Well, everybody want to learn that. So I remember like a few years ago, it was a hype word that like when you go to a conference, especially conference like PyData, that you would have like a lot of talks about neural network, deep learning, all this stuff. So hot topic. I also love neural network because neural network is also very linear algebra I would say, and it works magic. Is very fascinating stuff. It's a foundation. All these crazy AI stuff that we have nowadays that can detect, let's say, all these chatbots things, or image recognition. They're all like based on neural network. So yeah, we got to cover that. That's just interesting stuff that would be very good to cover, and NLP as well. Maybe computer vision. I forgot about that computer vision. But all these come much later. I hope I still have I still have energy to to go left for that. That may be like this agenda is like already almost a year. So I hope I'm still doing that. I will keep doing it as long as I could, and yeah. So but like let's come back to now. So today we gotta first of all just do an introduction of Jupyter Notebook, and also because you would use it every time. So like for all these stuff that you would do it on Jupyter Notebook. So knowing Jupyter Notebook is very important, and using it efficiently is also very important as a data scientist. So well, of course, it's not as glamorous as all this machine learning or neural network, but if this is your tool, you better be good at it. So yeah, so here's the introduction. So first of all, lots of you, if you are already using Jupyter Notebook, so how much do you know about the Jupyter environment or the project Jupyter? Sorry, have to rehydrate. So yeah, for Project Jupyter actually is a non-profit project. So well, you're using it for free. So good that it's non-profit and it's open source. Um, so there's also before Jupyter, we have this Ipython project. So what is let's say Ipython terminal? I hope you have heard about that. So a Python terminal is actually in your terminal. You type Python, right? So in your terminal here, let's see if I can do that here. Okay. Oh, I'm already running a Jupyter Notebook. Okay, fine. Okay, I won't show it because otherwise I have to stop my Jupyter Notebook and have to do it again. So, oh, actually, I don't mind doing that. Okay, fine. I will give you a little bit of a showing. So, by the way, if you want to stop your Jupyter Notebook running, you just do Control C and then Control C again. It will stop. Okay, so let's clear up this rubbish. Okay, so if you type Python here, well, I have Python, so you'll come into a Python terminal like this, right? So if you have followed my Python tutorial on Sunday, you have already seen this, right? But let's get out of here because this is not what we're gonna talk about today. But you can actually do a IPython if you have that installed. So, oh, it's taking a while. So this is slightly different. It looks very similar. It have also got this, but but this is IPython. So this is something very similar to your Python terminal. It also do Python, so you can import. Uh, oh, I can't spell. Import RE and do a RE dot split. Uh, so hello. Uh, yes, do something like that, and then I could. Sorry, I should put the pattern before. Yeah, because I was talking about the RE module on Sunday, so yesterday actually. So I hope I can still remember. So it should be either a space or a comma that I want to split it, right? Okay, and okay, so this is so it just worked like Python. So yeah, so it just worked like Python. But the thing is, like, this is slightly better. You get some color. You got all this highlighting. Is good, and you can do if you do an F string, then it could does it? Yeah, it could do this for you. So name. Oh, I don't have names, so it won't run. But yeah, but this is the IPython terminal actually. So okay, let's clear this. And oh, actually, like I would run Jupyter Notebook for you afterwards. So I'll just hold it like this for now. So right. So yeah, so it's the IPython terminal, and actually that's what run behind the Jupyter notebook. So a part of the Jupyter notebook is actually running this Ipython kernel in it, and yeah, so and it's kind of like a grandfather of Jupyter notebook, I would say. So it was the Ipython project, and it got spin off to be a Jupyter the data science tool, and it's very very nice. I will give you a tool later, and I could explain a little bit more. But first of all, I put a link here so you could install it if you want to. Well, if you don't have Anaconda, if you have Anaconda, then it's already there. You don't have to worry about that. You have all these stuff. You have Jupyter Lab. You have everything here. Um, but if you're like me, install my own thing, then you have to install Jupyter Notebook by pip install notebook. There's other tools. Is Vala is like for you to generate a report from your Jupyter Notebook, and Jupyter Lab is kind of like a Jupyter Notebook on steroid. So it's provide more stuff than a Jupyter Notebook. But for tutorial purpose, I think Jupyter Notebook is gonna be good enough. So yep, try to download it, and yeah. So how Ipython and Jupyter Notebook work. So I think this is very important because a lot of people use Jupyter Notebook and don't fully understand how it works. Well, you don't have to fully understand how it works, but at least get an idea of why something like this, like why we have the kernel, what is that, and why. Lots of why here. That if you understand a little bit of these, then actually help you to understand Jupyter Notebook a little bit better. So here is a picture still from here. That actually this is a very good it is a good article that I recommend if you have time to read a little bit about this. So it's explaining everything, like how it works in details. But I just gotta give you a brief idea of how this works. So so this is like how a Jupyter Notebook works. So the Jupyter Notebook you are interacting, for example, you know, this is the one that I have run earlier. Now it's not working because I've stopped the kernel. So it just, but like if you're, using Jupyter Notebook here like this, basically you're using on a browser here. And for the browser, if you do anything, if you click on it, create a new file or run the code, it actually will talk to the server. Yeah. So it talks to the server, and then the server will, do some kind of communication with the kernel. So this is the Ipython kernel. So this is actually doing all the heavily lifting, running the code stuff. So without this kernel, you won't be able to run any Python code because this is the kernel is the you can think of this as a worker who take care of all your code, run all your code. But your Jupyter Notebook is more than a code, right? So actually, what I gotta do now is I gotta start running my Jupyter Notebook. So you see here, this is my terminal. So what you gotta do is to start a Jupyter Notebook is just type Jupyter, it, provided that you have pip install notebook. Okay, so Jupyter Notebook, you just type that. So I can't even type notebook. Okay, so yeah, so it would start running, and then you would lose the control of your terminal, but it's fine if you want to stop, like I showed you before. Control C, Control C, you will stop it. So let me hide this and go to the notebook here, right? So it opens this notebook. So actually this is a redundant, so let me close the previous one. Okay, so um, so first of all, what you can do is that you could create a new file. So creating a new file, this is not related to Python code. So actually, like technically you don't need a kernel to do that. It's the server that's doing all this stuff. But if you open a terminal, that this is obviously it's like now you're using using the kernel when you kind of do your Python code here. But here if you like, for example, create a notebook, so you can just do here new, and then I hope it's big enough for you. So let me make it bigger. Right. Okay. So you can on the right hand side here, if you can see, yep, it's new, and then you can open Python 3. Then this will create a new notebook for you, right? So so yeah, all these stuff. That for example, if you add a cell, if you type something that's not code, because in Jupyter Notebook you can have the options to choose what type of the cell it is. So if it's not a code, it could be a markdown. Markdown is kind of like a documentation kind of. It's like your Word document. It's the formatted text. You can format it with like this is a heading. This is title. Let's say so you can make it super big and well, you don't need a kernel to run that. Why is it not running it as a markdown? Oh, I need a space. Sorry. Yeah. So all this stuff, you doesn't need a kernel to do that. Kernel is like when you run a code. So this is the code. So you can see it's got the highlighting and stuff. Then now it imports RE, and this is actually the kernel is doing that. So the kernel is now doing this. So you can actually shut down the kernel, and now it should, yeah, it won't run. You can see that it's a it's like it's trying to run, but it's not getting anything that is done because the kernel is not working. We have no kernel here, but you can still do the other text, markdown. It's like your Word. You can use it as a Word, title. This is the title. Yeah, it still work. It's just like a Word document. You can have a formatted text here. But the code won't work. It will be like a star means that it's running, but you have seen it before that if it's running properly, then it should be done in a second, but now or less than a second. But now this is not running, it's not finishing, so it's not working. So there's no kernel here, so it doesn't work. Okay, so let's go back to our presentation. So and your notebook server actually take care of the file. So like I said, you can edit your file, you edit other things as long as it don't involve the coding. It doesn't involve the kernel. So you can save the file. You can create more cell. Do more text in it. It's fine. Okay. So and so for the kernel, so this is how Ipython kernel works. So the Ipython kernel will take care of the Python execution. So it depends. So if you use it like a terminal, then of course it got the standard in and out. So like I've demonstrated before, when you type, you just type it there, and of course the terminal Ipython need to put that what you type inside the kernel and tell it to do the Python execution. But if you're using it as a Jupyter notebook, so it got this arrow here down in messages that's coming in and out. So this is what your notebook server is doing. So sending all these I don't know what's the format, but it could be in a JSON format. But actually, I think it's in a JSON format because if you open a Jupyter notebook and look at it in the raw form, then actually it's a JSON. So it will. So what the Jupyter notebook server will send some JSON to this kernel. So if I'm wrong, correct me. But I do think it's a JSON. Okay. So send this JSON to this kernel. So this kernel is kind of like a like I said, it's like a worker working at the back. So it will take all these JSON and say, okay, I'll execute it in Python and give you back the result. So the server could give you the result like in the notebook. So if I start the kernel again, restart, okay. So this time I can do Python thing, right? So okay, print I am check. Okay, so we'll print I am check. So what happened here is that the notebook server is like, okay, now I got this command of running this cell. I send this to the kernel, and kernel give me back the result. Okay, so this is how it works in a very simple way. I hope it makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't. I will try to explain a little bit better. And also I am a very like easily distract person. So if I talk about something, I may totally go off track. So um, shout at me in the chat if you want, and stop talking about that. You should go back to what you was talking about. So yeah. Okay, a tour. I already give you a brief introduction of the Jupyter Notebook. So, but I can give you a better tour, proper tour. So, first of all, you can rename your notebook. So this is the proper title. So like this is my first notebook. So you can make a name for a notebook. So this will be your name, and this actually will be your name here. So your file will be named. This is my first notebook dot ipynb. So any file with ipynb that you see, actually you're supposed to open it in the Jupyter notebook. If you open it in a text file, it will look like a bunch of JSON. I think can I do it? Like can I do that? Let me see if I can do that. No, not in here. I don't want to stop. well, try it yourself because it's difficult for me to show it here for you. But yeah, if you open it with, let's say, with your text editor, uh, it will look like a bunch of JSON and it doesn't make sense. So if Ipynb, Ipython notebook, supposed to be open with Jupyter notebook, okay? So, and after you open that, will be like this. Oh, actually, can I run it here? Let's see. Yeah, let's say if I do cat, yeah, this, yep. Yeah, you see that this is how your Jupyter notebook will look like if you open it with a text editor. It just looked like a bunch of crazy stuff, self-type as or actually all these are information for the notebook server, you know. So the notebook server will handle it and give you this very very nice interface, and also talk to the Ipython kernel if you want to execute a code. Okay. So, but you most of the time you just have a very nice Jupyter notebook open like this. Okay. So on the right hand side, so this is okay. This login logout thing is not that relevant if you're using a Jupyter notebook locally. This is more like for a Jupyter Hub and other stuff that you collaborate with people. So ignore that for now. Python 3 means that we're using Python 3. Don't use Python 2. Oh, actually, I haven't warned you, like in Anaconda. So go back to Anaconda for a bit. Sorry, footnote. So yeah, you can see that you can download Python 2.7. Don't do it because I consider Python 2.7 dead. The only reason why it's still available because maybe some company they still have some code using 2.7, which they shouldn't. But well, anyway, they still need people to maintain it, so this is available. But no, if you're like a new user, definitely start with Python 3.7. I remember a few years ago when I started, my colleague told me to install Python 2.7, and yeah, but things change, and now it's 2020, and you should use Python 3. Okay. Um, so yeah, let's go back to our notebook. So yeah, so we are running Python 3, and this dot means that now it's idle. So now this yeah, so it says kernel idle if you put your mouse there. So it's means that it's not nothing that's running. But if you say, let's say, if you have for um, like let's say, can I do something very very big? I can sleep, but yeah, I can't remember how to sleep actually. Can I do that? No. I think you have to import something. I can't remember in the top of my head. So let's do x equals to idx time idx, and then I just have a result. Yeah, I just do something stupid here. I hope that I could show you that yeah, okay, so if I run this, it would take a little bit of time. It shouldn't take too long, but you can see that pay attention to that dot that I was I was talking about, next to the Python 3. So oh, it's actually very very fast. Maybe I should have another for loop. Yeah. So okay, I should have to sleep. I forgot how to sleep it though. But anyway, yeah, that dot basically just tell you that it's idle, it's not running something crazy. But if you run something like in the future, you see it. If we talk about pandas, if we're reading a CSV file or something, that or actually I can do time it. Time it would take some time. So oh, spoiler, this is what we are supposed to do. This is what I'm trying to do. Explain a little bit later, but I'll just yeah do it here. Yeah, so you can see that this is now a star, right? And that dot next to Python 3 is now a black dot. So it means that it's running, it's not idle. Yeah, so now it's finished running. So I will talk about this later. But if it's done, then you've got an empty, a hollow circle there, means that it's idle, okay? And you also got a number like the input here. That when it's running, it's a star. When it's finished running, it will tell you this is the number 4 of the thing execute. So usually you do it in order from top to bottom, and that you run it. And actually, it's recommended that you do things in order. So because you can actually, run this here, and then you can do something like here. I do re dot, split, And I know this is not need to be RE, but I'm just demonstrating here. So yeah. So you won't get an import error because you run this before this. So the order of execution, this is 5, this is 6. So this is okay. You can actually have something import afterwards because you run this cell first. Oh, by the way, to run a cell, you do a shift enter. So the the slower way to do it is to go to cell and run cells, or just press this one so you run it. I can run this again. Um, but a shortcut that you can't see me doing now is to do shift enter. You run the cell. I should talk a little bit about the shortcut as well. So sorry, I got really, really distracted a lot of times. Um, so yeah, what were I? Okay, so you should basically not recommend to do this. It won't give you an error because you have your execution order in reverse. So you have 5, 6, 7 here. But uh, you should avoid that because let me do the bad thing again. So this one. So because sometimes you would do a kernel restart and run all. So you restart everything and try it again because, for example, you have an error or you have to you change some setting. You want to try your experiment again. So this time it should give me an error. Now it's running the time so it's taking quite a while. So you can see this are all waiting. They're all stars. They're waiting, and the kernel is very, very busy at the moment. Yeah, it will give me an error because now I've run the first one, the time it thing. It takes a while. The second one is this one, but I haven't imported RE yet, so this time it gives me an error. So always have your order, have your cell in the proper order. That's a little bit hint. Okay, and what else? So yeah, let me keep talking about all these like buttons before I go to the shortcuts. I think there are files you can create a new one like we did before. It's the same thing, and open an old one that maybe you downloaded or you get it from your colleague. Make a copy of that. So for example, or actually, and you have the save and checkpoint. So it for the Jupyter notebook, it got a little bit of version control by itself because you can save some checkpoint and revert to it. Um, so it's just the init. So this is when we started to create this notebook. Um, but sometimes you want to make a copy for whatever reason. But the thing is, I would try to avoid having a copy because I want to keep the old version. You can save and checkpoint it. Yeah. So or use Git, but Git sometimes doesn't work so nicely with Jupyter Notebook because, like I said, all these cell contains some data in the background in the JSON format. So it would create kind of a bit of noise in your Git diff. So sometimes it's not that ideal. So you can use this save and checkpoint uh, tool here to help you. Save as, same, you save as a new copy and keep the old one. Rename, well, you can just do it here, so you don't need to use that. So virtual checkpoint, like if you have saved the checkpoint, you can go back to that. Print, you can actually this will print very nicely as as HTML. It's like an HTML. You can print it. You can also export it to HTML, like I said before. Um, Markdown file as well, and also PDF. But like PDF is tricky because I remember in some Windows machine it doesn't work that way. So it could also this I think this is new. Yeah, it could also become a slice. Before I think you have to install something like Rise or something. I can't remember the name of that, but yeah, now you can make it into a slice, which is super cool. And so it's like my slice.com slice is using review.js. So yeah, maybe I should use this function more when I do my data science presentation. I can change my Jupyter notebook into something that I can use in slice.com, which is cool. Um, so yeah, close and hold. So this is just like close this one and stop the kernel doing anything. And edit, you do all these like copy and paste, things, delete things. You can undo delete if you accidentally do that. Split cell, so you can actually can I have this? Okay, so you can actually split the cell here. For example, I want to break this into two cell. You can do split cells. Yep. You could do the reverse, which is merge cell below above. So I want to merge above. So yeah. So you can split and merge them. Very straightforward. Move cell up and down. I would usually use this arrow key to do it. You can do this, or you can use that one. So it's the same thing. Edit notebook metadata. Oh, this one I've never done it before. Yeah, so this opened that JSON thing. So I usually don't mess with it. So don't touch that. And find and replace. Well, it's find and replace. It's just like your IDE. You have these options to find and replace stuff, which is cool. Cut, copy, attachments. This one I've never tried. I'll ignore that for now. Insert image as well. You can actually put an image in your Jupyter Notebook because one good thing about Jupyter Notebook is that it's designed for you to, kind of have your code in your report. So you can have, all your findings in one place. So sometimes a picture may be illustrating your, let's say, your data science model better because you draw it on a whiteboard or take a picture of it. You can paste it here, which is cool. And so that's edit. I think that's it. Yeah. View, you can toggle the header and tool. You just like toggle this, like you can hide it or show it, or nothing very fancy. You can toggle this toolbar. I won't do it now. In numbers, 9 numbers on the left hand side. Cell toolbar. Yeah, I would just like, yeah, you can play around with this. I won't go into details. And insert cell below and above, and you can insert cell. It's just and I usually use this add button or use the shortcut key to do it. But and yeah. So and cell, you can run cells. Something that is very useful is run or above. For example, if you let's say you have an error here, then I just need to run all these above, before I run this. So you can do like run or above. Then now I can run this one because I've import RE and cell type. So this is what I've shown you before. You can change the type into markdown. So these are all markdown cells, so you can change it into markdown. You can clear the output. So for example, so yeah, now I can run this one because I've imported. Okay, because I want to hide this, like, or cancel this output, I can toggle it here. That's current output. You can toggle it, like some of them, if you have like a huge output, it would just like collapse it, and then you can scroll down to see it. And so you can change that here. You can clear it. So clear. Sometimes all output clear is very useful when you want to clear everything. Um, Kernel, like I said, like kernel is the little worker that work on your code, so you can interrupt, like kind of if it's running something very long and you just want it to stop, you can interrupt it. Restart, it will just restart, and clear all the memory. So all this stuff, for example, that you import before, or this variable that you create before, it will be removed if you restart it. Restart and clear output, so it's just restart and clear all output. So it's a shortcut of two commands. Restart and run all. So restart and then run all the cell. Actually, restart and clear all the output and run all the cells. Reconnect, and sometimes you would get some error of that, like you're losing the connection with your kernel. I think it happens more if you're doing like online stuff like Jupyter Hub. Then you have to reconnect your kernel. Shut down your kernel. Like again, you're just like you're closing it, so you don't have any kernels running in the background. Well, you can change kernel. So like I won't show you, like I can't show you here because I only have Python 3. But sometimes, like for whatever reason you have Python 3 and let's say PyPy, and you can change it to see, like, because each worker has a different interpreter. So for this worker is using Python 3, and for another, you can have another worker that use PyPy. Then you could change the kernel. Yeah. All these buttons are actually, some of them actually is shortcuts for this. So saving, just save, and this is adding a cell. So adding a cell, cut, you can cut it, you can paste it back. You can cut and paste. So this is paste. So this is copy. So you can copy and paste. Okay. Going up, going down. So this is like moving it up. Oh, this is not showing. Yeah, moving it up, moving it down. Run. So this is like running the cell. If you want to run all, you have to, go to cell and run all, or use shortcut. And you can stop it. For example, a run, or it's too long, I stop it. Okay, so it's interrupting the kernel. This is, a restart or the kernel. Yes, please. Uh, this one I'm not sure. Oh, this is okay. This is running the whole notebook. Okay, you have the. I've rarely used this one, so okay. And you can change the type of your cell here as well. Okay. So okay, this is actually showing all the key bindings that you have. So you can actually all these stuff, all the buttons that you click, and even some commands that is like more hidden than a button, you can use your keyboard command to do it. So for example, some of them would be a Shift Enter will be running the cell that I talked about before. You can actually copy the cell. So for example, now so you see that now the cell is the box that is the highlighting the cell is in green. Now it's in blue. So if it's in blue, is in if it's in green, it's in edit mode. If it's in blue, it's just selecting the whole cell. So if it's in blue, you can actually cut, or you can cut your cell. Oh, it's not working for me for some reason. Yeah, okay, you can copy yourself by Control C and paste by Control V. I don't know why the cut is not working for me at the moment. It's strange because it's whatever. Okay, um, I think it's my computer problem. It's not Jupyter's problem. So okay, so yeah, you can. Okay, let me remove all this. So now it's in blue, so it's not in edit mode. So if you want to go inside the cell and change let's say I want to import sys, not import re. So you press enter. So now it becomes green. So you can change it to import sys. So when I'm done, I press escape. Then it will go back to the edit mode. This blue mode. So you can go up and down with your arrow key. And yeah, so knowing this is very handy because when you're doing it for typing your code very quickly, you can do this. Shift enter is run, and you can do an command A to be it's selecting everything. Okay, so yep. Oh yeah, is there something that is like inserting something above and below, but it's maybe it's control. I don't know. Yeah, because Mac is a little bit different. It's command. So oh yeah, so for if you're sorry, I'm saying it in a Apple term, but like in a Mac OS term, but if you're using Windows, that's like control you know, uh, and then escape are the same, but like if you cut and paste, Control C, Control V. So instead of, this is okay. Yeah, yeah. I can copy and paste, and I don't know why only copy and paste work for me now. I think it's my machine problem. So okay, so try those keys. So there's all these key bindings. You can check what is so insert above and below. Yeah, it should be Command A, but I don't know why it was not working for me earlier. So it's strange, but yeah. Yeah, you can check all these here. Okay. Um, it has been going quite a long time, so this is the tool that I've gave you. And any question about the Jupyter notebook? I think I've covered enough. I still have a little bit I want to cover, so I would hopefully cover this quickly in a few minutes. So um, these are all the Jupyter magic. So what are these? So in Jupyter Notebook, oh, let me go back to Jupyter Notebook. You can do one of these, for example, time it. I've shown you already. So let me talk about time it. So time it is like it would do a little bit experiment on your cell and check how fast it executes. So for example, here you see that this is super quick, but it's like so quick that I don't know how long it takes to execute. But I want to know, it's just like happen in the blink of an eye. I just I want to because I want to maybe compare it with another thing because like I want to see which algorithm is faster. So I can put time it here, or you can do time it with one. So if it's 1% percentage sign, it's just it's in a line mode, so it's only you only time print hello. Yeah, so yeah, it would just like oh my god, this is printing. So what it does is like it would time like running the hello, so that's why it run a million times. Okay, so maybe I should not do this. You can do something else. Appending a list or something. Um, but if you do percent, then it's yeah, then it is running the whole cell to see how long it takes to run all these code. So it will run a lot of times. You can see the hello before that is like going crazy because it will run a lot of times, and you see that it runs like 1,000 times, and then it would, it can, after, because it's so fast, after running 1,000 times, then it could, divide it by 1,000, and then it can tell you how long it takes to run each time. So you can use this to compare if you have two algorithms that you have written, you don't know which one is faster, you want to pick the fastest one. You can do this time it, or if you want to, estimate how long it takes, let's say, to process your CSV file. So if you do it by chunk, let's say chunk is 100 of rows, so you can actually time how long it takes to run 100 of rows. So you have an idea how long it takes to run, let's say, 100,000 of rows. Okay. So that's something useful. Some other things, a PWD. So I want to know where this Jupyter notebook is running, so I can do a percentage PWD. Oop. It show me that I'm running, in I have, I have a directory called ledger of data in tutorial in my user folder. Okay, and I can change directory actually. What will happen if I change directory? And let's say yeah, now I'm like one level higher. So for example, if I have a file that I want to read, from pandas that we're gonna show you next week, if you're gonna read a file from pandas, then make sure that you have the right path to the file, because otherwise you'll be like you will have an error because you're having a wrong path. So PWD and CD is actually useful in this case. So other things, and matplotlib. So this one percent matplotlib. This one I won't show you now because you're supposed to use matplotlib with this. Why? Because hey, how are you, D3? Yes, yeah, I'm good, and I'm just showing the magic of Jupyter Notebook, and then after that, I would actually join the Python PyData Ireland meetup. So if you want to see me talk about chatbot, you can you can join that. You can find PyData Ireland on meetup, but I'm gonna finish this tutorial first, okay? So yeah, matplotlib. This one is used with matplotlib because if you don't use the matplotlib magic, the graph that you create with matplotlib will be open in another window, which is something that you don't want. I want my matplotlib graph to be appearing in my Jupyter notebook, so that's why you need to use this matplotlib magic. We'll talk a little bit more when we do matplotlib. So remember, we have some magic for matplotlib. Um, %env is actually, I have nothing to show you right now. I just show you all the environment variables, and actually I'm quite reluctant to show you my environment variable because it may have some password in it. So so sometimes if you're doing it yourself and you want to check the environment variable, you can do that. And using exclamation mark, so and you can actually the PWD thing, you can actually do it this way. Oh, now I'm in tutorial, so let me go back to the legend of data. So you can actually, now you can do a PWD. So the exclamation mark lets you run the shell script. Oh, it's not doing anything for me. Oh, maybe I should use the percentage CD again. Yeah, maybe it doesn't work. Like I think some of the things doesn't work. For example, like CD, you see that it doesn't work. But why? But why it doesn't work? I'm still not sure. Let me try again. Okay, let me see if it's working. Oh no, it's not. So change directory doesn't work with this exclamation mark. Uh, but some of the some of the code actually does work. So data. So what was the name of this? Oh my god, this name is so long. Uh, how can I? Okay, well, okay, it's just like you can use like run. For example, you can run pip install with this. So let's say pip install pandas. Okay. So actually, it will install pandas for you using this like exclamation mark. So you don't have to go to your terminal to do it. You can just do it here. It's quicker sometimes. But another way to do it is to do use just like %pip install or %conda. So so remember conda is kind of like how you install your stuff from from the conda environment, which is how Anaconda is is well, a conda environment is included in in Anaconda when you download it. So it's kind of like a package manager. So this is how you install extra stuff if you're using Anaconda. So you just percentage conda, or in your terminal you can type conda install something. But yeah, in your Jupyter notebook you can just like percentage conda install something, like for example pandas. Or I can do like percentage pip install, just like what I did here. I can install pandas this way. Okay, because now I can't do it again with the percentage pip install because I've already have it, but it would just tell me that I've already got it. Yeah, it just tell me I've already got it. Okay, so I think that's it for today. So next week we gotta talk about the pandas basic. So it's more exciting than today. We gotta actually do some data stuff, and we gotta actually load in some files, some CSV. We can maybe do a little bit of cleaning, do a little bit of maybe joining. I will see what I can find, what data set I can find to demonstrate stuff. And so yeah, so we're gonna cover pandas, and also I will have to think about how much to cover, because panda itself would be, well, it's worth its own series already, panda. So I may not be able to cover everything in one go. I may break it into two or three. So yeah, make sure you let me know if you have any things that in pandas kind of you're wondering how to do, or you get a little bit stuck, or you want to know if there's another way to do the same thing. Let me know. And or any questions about today, let me know as well. But yeah, it's been like more than an hour. So thank you so much for sitting through this and listening to me. Sorry, I'm too excited today and I got a little bit sidetracked. But I hope to be more organized next week, and we gotta talk about something more exciting next week. So and if you're interested in chatbot, feel free to come to PyData Island meetup tonight, and I'll be there as well. So before that, now I gotta sign off and have a break. So I will see you next week, or I'll see you Wednesday for Meet Me Pi actually. So yeah, bye.